Well, Razorback fans, you got some news dealing with a particular player, Adou Thiero. He's going to be out against Texas tonight. Who, buddy? Let's talk about this on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors. I'm also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday, as it is officially game day for the Razorback basketball team tonight against the University of Texas. And they will be taking them on at home, which it's kind of crazy because last time these two teams met down there in Austin, Arkansas beat the brakes off of them pretty handedly. At least it was never a game that was in doubt. One of Arkansas's better performances, especially against a Texas team that they're not very good, just needless to say. Both teams, though, have the exact same record. Both Arkansas and Texas 16-11, both 5-9 in conference play. Both are kind of flirting with the bubble a little bit. So both need this win and need this win badly. So we'll see how it plays out and everything. But the news that had come out, or at least the news that people are talking about, is Adou Thiero. He is going to be out against Texas tonight. And this is according to Curtis Wilkerson, as well as some of the different aspects of what's been going on with him. He was struggling a little bit there in the game against Missouri, and he's favoring the back, his lower back. And Cal even said in the press conference afterwards, in his most vague and Cal way, basically saying, yeah, his back's bothering him. And it's one of those things to where if you've ever had a bad lower back injury or pain, it sucks, man, and there's nothing you can do. Like, if there is ever a nagging pain that you could have that would be the worst, it's got to be lower back pain. Especially, I can imagine trying to play basketball with lower back pain. And so it's that, but it could be something else too. But the point is that he's going to be out for at least this game against Texas. Could end up being even more. Hopefully it's not. But man, if there is ever a team, if there was ever a time where you just really cannot afford any injuries, it's right now. And this season has been one that we have talked about ad nauseum here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, about the one step forward, two steps back, about the nice wins, but then the bad losses, the poor performances, the inconsistencies, the close but no cigar. I mean, this season, folks, has had everything. That Vice documentary on Razor's Edge, we're talking about Calipari. I mean, it's you probably want to see more winning and more happiness around it. But as far as storyline goes, man, you'd be hard pressed to find more drama and more interest in what would be entertainment, or I guess not really entertaining if you're a Razorback fan, but so much story and script type things going on with this season that it's almost ridiculous. And it's been frustrating. You've had the losses, you've had the times where it's just been really annoying to try to deal with and try to make sense out of. But then this happens. You've already had an injury to Boogie Flan. He's out for the year, essentially. You've had guys banged up. Like Nelly Davis had a wrist thing. You had Trevon Brazile deal with stuff. You had Big Z deal with stuff. And then with Thiero, who I really like, and we know how good of a player he is, whether it's between his illness, like it seems like he was always dealing with illness. I don't know if it was long COVID or whatever it was. It just seemed like he was, once a month at least, he's dealing with not feeling well. And so hopefully it's nothing too serious, but with him there and then now having this type of situation with him being out, this is a major blow. And it just could not come at the worst time for Arkansas. Now, I'm not burying Arkansas. I'm not saying that they're dead in the water and they're not going to make the NCAA tournament. But let's be very clear about it, folks, and let's be very honest with each other. You're going to find a little bit of difficulty figuring this thing out and getting the season going and all that without Adou Thiero. the roster already was set up by Cal to have more efficiency or more quality players and less, and that you could spend more NIL on and less depth. It was a risk. It hasn't exactly worked out according to plan. We all know that. We all see that. But with the injuries that have been mounting and players that haven't even played well, I didn't mention Jonas Adou, who I still don't think he's been healthy all season long. To just have this happen with Thiero just sucks, man. It's like right when this team is about to get there, right when this team is about to take it to that level of getting to the NCAA tournament, you have a pretty major blow like this. And again, we don't know the extent of it, but I'm just talking about even in this game against Texas tonight, it's not really a time where you wanted to afford to lose out and miss out on having one of your best players, if arguably your best player, out there on the court. It hurts. And just thinking of all the things that have happened this season, for it to continue to pile up like this is extremely frustrating. Some people have said, man, Arkansas is just cursed. And I, of course, laugh about that and kind of, push it off to the side. But it is one of those unfortunate things that do happen in sports. And it is one of those fortunate things that do happen to a lot of teams. So I don't want to make it sound like it's just Arkansas. But at some point in time, you just feel like it's got to go Arkansas's way. And this team deserves a break. Something positive to go their way. I mean, they've won some games, some nice games, but it's like at what cost? You win some of these games, like you won the Michigan game, which was great, but then, you see what you lose Boogie Fland, and you won that Missouri game, but then you end up losing Adou Thiero, and it's, at what point does this just work out for you and you get a little bit blessed? Maybe it's going to be later this season. Maybe it's when you get to the NCAA tournament. I think everybody would sign up for that. But trying to overcome injuries like this is what concerns me the most, Razorback fans, about this. Because of the injuries and because of everything, you're running out of people to step up. We always hear about that. Hey, if a player gets hurt or, it's next man up, somebody's got to step up. And I believe, all things considered, Boogie Fland, as much as I like the kid and I thought he's really good, I felt like at least other people stepped up. I think DJ Wagner stepped up in a lot of ways. I think even Nelly Davis stepped up in a lot of ways for that. But Adou Thiero, you can't replace that. The dude that has so much physicality and is so versatile in the ways that he's able to change a game, and he can play with bigs, he can play with smalls, he can get in crazy dunks, he can shoot fairly well. I mean, he leads the team in field goal percentage. He does so many things so well that it's not just somebody like, all right, well, we got this type of player and he can just replace him, boom, boom, boom. You can't do that. So you're going to have to find somebody to step up in that forward position. And you know what I'm going to say. You know who is left. There's really only two people that you are going to have to count on. And it's Trevon Brazile and Jonas Adou. Big Z is Big Z. You know you're going to get a lot out of Big Z. But other than that, you need something from Brazile and Adou. Brazile and Adou. Now, Adou, as much as I feel like he could have been and may have been great if he just would have stayed healthy and been healthy, I just don't think I think he is what he is. I just don't think you're going to get anything out of him, at least to the extent of a guy that'll play 30 minutes a game and be able to pour in a double-double for you. I would love if he did, but I just don't see any reason to believe that or reason to point to that. So it's going to have to be Trevon Brazile. Some of you are screaming at your, I don't even know what you listen to my podcast in your car or on your headset, or on your phone, whatever it is. Well, a lot of you screaming at me because you're like, no, not Trevon Brazile. Because Trevon Brazile has not played well. I know. Trevon Brazile has had some moments like that Auburn game was not good for him. Even in the game against Missouri, he didn't play overly well. So I understand that. I really do. But you're going to have to rely on him. You're going to have him step up. He's averaging 5 points a game right now, 4 rebounds a game. Surprising, he's hitting 64% of his shots. So it's not like, he's just, shooting wildly and everything. But without question, in his career, and this is what's crazy, this is his 4th year in college, he is averaging his lowest point totals. But he's always also averaging his lowest minutes. I mean, he was averaging 26 minutes last year, 27 minutes the year before, 22 minutes the year before that at Missouri. And this year, he's averaging 16. So he has to step up. He has to fill that role. He has to play efficient. He has to play smarter. He has to do what he's best at, but also be the guy that doesn't make those major mistakes. It's a lot to put on him, I know. But this is what you have to do, and this is what Cal's going to have to do, and he's going to have to inspire him. And I really hope Trevon Brazile does step up. I really hope he ends up being that guy. I do. Because I'm rooting for him. I don't have a problem with Brazile. I know some people do. I don't have a problem with him. He makes mistakes. He is who he is. He's not supposed to be the starter of this team. He's not supposed to be the star of this team. But now he has to be. He has to start. He has to play. He may play 30 minutes in this game against Texas tonight. Can you handle that, Trevon? Can you handle being that guy? You're not going to replace Adou Thiero. I'm not saying you got to go out there and replace all of his numbers and everything. But can you just step up when the opportunity is in front of you? You've been waiting for this. You've dealt with injuries your entire career, so you can sympathize. You've dealt with injuries. You've dealt with struggles. You dealt with all of this. This is now no longer about, well, we'll use you when we can. No, it's we're using you now because we have to. You have to be the guy. Can you do that? Because, folks, if you can't get anything out of Brazile and or Adou, tonight it might be troublesome. Texas is not a good team, but they're good enough to beat you, especially when you're shorthanded. I'm really hopeful, man. I'm really hopeful because I do not want this to take a turn into some really nasty stuff, some really depressing things. I've had enough of that roller coaster. It needs to just level out a little bit. We need to get into the side where you start slowing down and getting back into the place where, you get off the roller coaster. It needs to be that. No more of this. Please. That's all I ask. Sheesh. I want to bring up football. I know you guys are going to be crazy, thinking I'm crazy, but I'm going to bring up football. There's something I want to talk about when it comes to that. So stay with us here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I got to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off and want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay. FanDuel has all the different features that you can have, like live betting features, because it keeps every moment in the game exciting. Whether you're backing your team for a late game parlay or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, you never feel like you're going to be missing your chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you play and you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Razorback fans, moving on to the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. We haven't talked much football at all. And there might be some reason for that. It's not exactly it's one of those deals that gets everybody hyped up and excited. And it's sad. Isn't that sad? Now, when fall comes around, fall camp, even spring ball, we'll start to think about it. We'll start to get a little bit intrigued and excited and all of that. Like, we'll get to that point. But I saw an email that came out from a press release that Arkansas has added 7 new members to the team's support staff. Like head athletic trainer Vince Blankenship, strength and conditioning coaches Cole Forney and Zach Reed, offensive analyst Christopher Brown, defensive backs analyst Demirick Gary, and director of high school relations Shay Hendricks, and special teams graduate assistant Adam Dolka. Now, I could sit here and I could read out all of their bios and everything like that, but every single one of you would probably be bored to death. Because it's just, what does that do for me? What does that do? What does that change? Does that get anybody excited? Does that get anybody in the mood? Does that get anybody to the point to where they're like, yes, football season, baby. No, it doesn't. But I was talking with a few people today about football. And it's a really tough spot for Razorback fans to be in right now. You look for excitement, you look for energy, you look for something to believe in and to have faith in. But it hasn't really been given to you much. This offseason has been one that's not been very enjoyable. You've lost some of your best players in the transfer portal, and the players that you gained, not to say that they'll be bad players, but it doesn't move the needle a whole lot. It doesn't make you have confidence that the ones that you lost are going to be replaced easily with the ones that you added. We know the situation. We do. Many of you wanted Sam Pittman to move on. Get it. Totally. Justified, I think. But he's your head coach, and this is what you're dealing with. I may talk about this more later because I want to gather a little bit more information. But as you all know, I like to connect dots. You know, like my Brian Windhorst thing. Because we don't get a lot of information when it comes to coaches and press conferences and media relations and all of that. And when something's going on and you can feel something's going on and you think something's going on and there's reasons to believe something's going on, then odds are there's something going on. And I've been thinking about this for a long time, and it hit me like a ton of bricks here the other day. And again, I'll spend more time on this because a lot of you are probably going to ask me about it, but I'll spend more time on this. But folks, I believe that the University of Arkansas and the athletic department is broke. Not broken, broke. I think that in the football program, they have no money. And when I say no money, I'm talking about no NIL money or anything. I'm talking about money in general. Anywhere. There are too many things that are pointing to this. They don't have the NIL money to spend because, as we all talked about and saw, it's what wasn't really showcasing itself in the whole deal with the transfer portal. They don't have the money in the facilities or anything like that. They don't have the money in new coaching hires, buyouts, raises, any of that stuff. They don't have any of that. They haven't done anything with facilities. They haven't done anything as far as graphics, content, anything like that. And they've hired on the support staff. I mean, there are a few trainers here and there and whatnot, but I just get the vibe that this program is broke. I was thinking about it when Sam Pittman talked about a GM, something like that. And at the end of it may have been the bowl game prep, or it may have been after the bowl game. May have been post-hip surgery. I think it was post-hip surgery. But he was saying, hey, we may hire a GM. We don't have one. We don't think there's a need for one, but we may in April. And going back to that comment, I'm like, why? Why would you wait? Well, the only thing I can think of is that you don't have any money and you can't afford it. Now, I have no proof of this. This is just a theory of mine. So I want to make that clear. I could be completely wrong, and I kind of hope I am. But man, there's a lot of signs that point to this. And when you don't have money, you don't have faith. You don't have confidence. You don't have excitement. When everything's cut all around, just cuts all around. When it's always that doesn't provide you any excitement. Like, you cut the spending of your NIL. You 100% did. Everyone talked about this revenue sharing thing. What's everything? Something everyone's going to go through. So you can't say that's an advantage to you because it's not. So how can you expect people to be excited about everything, especially when it comes to football, when you're coming across and coming off as is that you don't have the money and the support and the finances to keep this thing going? It seems like the decisions you've made has been because You don't want to spend money. Not because you're choosing not to, it's because you don't. The more and more I think about it, the more I believe that Sam Pittman, one of the main reasons he kept his job is because the U of A can't afford buyouts. I mean, think about it. There's been no over-the-top support for Pittman from the top. There's been no raises. There's been no extensions. There's been nothing for Petrino, nothing for Travis Williams. Nothing. There's been no NIL spending. There's just been no spending whatsoever. Even as something as simple as like the hype videos this past year, when I started thinking about it, like it was always just current players voicing them. Where in previous years, they kind of went out on a limb a little bit. So maybe I'm got my tinfoil hat on. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I'm lacking sleep, which actually could be the case. But the excitement for football seems to be pretty low. And that has been handled and that has been proven, or at least helped, by the fact that there's excitement in money. And I'll wrap with this. There's excitement in money. Because if you have money, you'll spend it on cool stuff. I mean, now you all know this. We know this. I know this. You as an individual, if you have money, boy, everything's fun, isn't it? A new car. What's more exciting and cool than that? A vacation. Ooh, that's awesome. Now, money is money, and doesn't come easily for everybody. You got to earn it and everything. So I'm not trying to say it's just easy come, easy go. But in a football program, and in college sports especially, money does help that. It's the same thing for the fans. It excites them. It excites them if they have money to spend on NIL because they get new, shiny new players. It helps with money if they have new coaches come in because it excites them because it's new. It helps with the money if there's facilities. It helps with the money if there's new additions being made. It helps with excitement. But when the season went the way it did this past year and there was really no excitement surrounding it, and then you just kind of limp into the offseason and nothing's changed, what's there to be excited about? I'll have to talk more about this. I want to put it together maybe in a few weeks, maybe when basketball season slows down, because I really have a lot of thoughts on this. I really do. So I'll get to that. But either way, we'll talk baseball, Razorback baseball, midweek. Nice performance against Grambling State. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Razorback baseball continues it on. They're 7-1 right now after they run-ruled Grambling 14-3. That's what the Razorbacks did. Not too shabby for their showing. I know it's a midweek game, and Grambling is not an awful team by any stretch. In fact, if you watched them, they had some pretty decent players, especially defensively and everything. But it's a beautiful day too, man. It felt so good to be out there in the weather. But Arkansas took care of business. Run ruled them. Only went 7 innings. Got a few guys out there and getting some reps in the pitching side of things. Ben Bybee was out. Gave up a hit as well as a run. Had 2 strikeouts, but then Colin Fisher comes in. Aiden Jimenez comes in. Steele Eves comes in. Carson Wiggins comes in. So again, just getting those reps. That's what these midweeks are about. And even with the lineup, you had a few guys that, weren't normally in the starting rotation, but got to go out there and do some things too. I'm telling you right now, the Aloy brothers are just destroying. And I know it's not going to be something that they just keep up to this level. But like Baby Aloy, for instance, he's hitting .562, dude. The dude is just on fire. He had 4 hits at 4 at-bats today. 4 for 4. Eva Aloy still went 1 for 4. But Logan Maxwell goes 2 for 4. Rocco Pepe had a great day. He had 2 for 3. Justin Thomas also went 2 for 3. So, I mean, you had some good plays, but Baby Aloy is just wrecking shop. And I'm loving it. I love it. I want everybody to do well, but there's something cool when we talked about newness and new shiny things. There's something cool whenever you see a new body come in there and really wreck shop and really do well. He's going to be the designated hitter. I think he should be, barring any injury and whatnot, but he's really elevated his game, and I'm thankful for that. I'm really hoping Souza gets going too, man. He has struggled. went 0 for 3 in this game, and he's not batting well. So I'm really hoping that he finds a way to bust through and to get it going. But still, I'm going to take wins, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take it's a mindset that they're going to have to figure out the lineup and try some things and get some reps and whatnot. But overall, I'm pleased. Can't complain too much. It's a nice win. Keep it going. Another weekend series coming up this weekend. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Neighbors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, and we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.